Here at the AnomicAge, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the AnomicAge, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the JohnAge project at AnomicAge.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement, then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems.
What?
I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
Here at the AnomicAge, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the AnomicAge, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the JohnAge project at AnomicAge.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle. She's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement, then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are...
Selling real and Chevy.
Propagating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the JohnAge Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the AnomicAge, and I am your humble host, JohnAge, hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the Old North State. I will be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet. A forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. Oh, it's the loveliest time of night, isn't it? It's the dark side of the AM. We're sitting at 12:34 Eastern Standard Time. Check out, not that one. No, I swear to you, I'm going to have this one. Nope. That's the one, I tell you. You knew it was in there somewhere. Check out AnomicAge.com if you've not already done so. Like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions, paypal.me/AnomicAge, patreon.com/AnomicAge as well. That's the best thing, the best place, the best anything to go to find all things me, JohnAge, and all things this show. If you're new to the game, if you're new to this on YouTube, I assure you there's hundreds of shows you shall never see on that platform. So go to AnomicAge.com, become a patron, make a donation, buy me a cup of coffee, Cash App, free iPhone app, free newsletter, subscribe by email links, and so much more. Right there at AnomicAge.com. Got my lovely dog Daisy with us this evening. She's off camera. You won't be seeing her. But she's here. What else we got? You know what we're going to talk about this evening? Hate. Oh, yeah. We're getting into it this evening. Title of tonight's episode, Information Breakdown Segment 455, Self-Hate Society. Yeah, that's right. Man, there's so many good punk songs about hate and stuff. There really is. What's the one I'm thinking of? Oh, man, it was a girl singer, too. Naked Aggression. I hate. Is that the right thing? This doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I do believe there's a lovely song by Naked Aggression talking about hating society. If I'm wrong, then so be it. Take away my punk rock points. Revoke my scene cred, man. I'm just not the man I used to be. That's fine. I don't want to be. I'd like to be the new and improved version of me that's far, far away from all the dung pile stuff that my soul once resonated with. I just want to be far away, far, far away. It's that old, I'm sorry, it's late or early in the night and I'm feeling spry. It's the old Forrest Gump thing, far, far away. Far, far away from the dung pile of refuse that once inhabited my mind.
Anyway, to get into it this evening, we're going to talk about a self-hate that is amok, corrupting, destroying, wreaking havoc on a once great society de los Estados Unidos. We are now a steaming pile of, I got the distinct inclination that we might run a little long this evening. I hope you don't mind. Back to the point here. The hatred of oneself. Cover art courtesy of yours truly. That is the problem. Vis-a-vis the Sex Pistols there. That is the problem, folks. We as a society have become so suffused with the moronic idiocy, the idyllic ramblings of communist utopia, from the K through 12 indoctrination, college, university weaponization. We've become so stuck in the rut of stupid, multiple generations of this nonsense, that we have really become a society that hates ourselves. Someone's going, John, what do you mean? I don't hate myself. Good, because I don't either. That's why I have removed myself from virtually all avenues of this society that I can possibly remove myself from. Because I don't want me, my progeny, my kin, or even my friends to get this stuff on them. Folks, you cannot pick up a turd by the clean end. And I would submit to you that once you get this stuff on you, it's awfully hard to get it off you. Kind of like catching a case. You having to go to court and all these hearings and the like. Once you get into that mess, it's like that proverbial quicksand that was in all the 80s shows, you know. Somehow there's a rash of quicksand everywhere, and you just can't get the mess off of you, folks. It's darn near impossible. So, where did it all begin? What happened, John? Where did it all go wrong? You're going to talk about the 60s again, aren't you? You guessed it. Yes, I shall. I think that's kind of where we began to really see the streams of self-hatred become commonplace, and become promulgated and propagated and everything in between in those hallowed halls of academia. Yeah, so that's really where it all began, folks. That's where we began this self-hatred seminar series for several decades. But it didn't just begin or end there. Nay. No. Because first we began hating ourselves as a society because we were fighting an unjust war. All the wars were unjust, bankers' wars, Jewish wars, if you will. Oh, my goodness, he said it, didn't he? But the Vietnam War, I believe, more than the rest, really left a very foul taste in the mouths of the youths, and then the parents and the offspring and everything else in between. And here we are. We are hating ourselves because that was the one war that left everyone saying, well, we can't trust the government at all. You know, we were in this morass, beginning with Eisenhower. JFK began trying to pull us out of it. LBJ threw us right in the middle of it. And I guess you could say Nixon was trying to slowly back us out of it. I don't know. It's a mess. But yeah, that's kind of where the self-hatred began. And then we began to hate ourselves because that was the beginning decade of the disenfranchisement. Everyone became disenfranchised. It was the gays, the straights, the blacks, the whites, the women, the males, and the females. Everyone became disenfranchised in the 60s. And it just really simmered and boiled on over in the 70s, 80s, and beyond. You see all this normalcy of idiocy that you saw in the last 10 years really going crazy with Barack Hussein Obama and the red badge of victimhood. If you haven't heard that episode, you should look into it. It's a great episode. about 100 plus back, but the yellow badge of victimhood, I think, is what I entitled it. Again, more graphics, lovely, by yours truly. But that's another episode that we really analyze what's up with just this embracement of victimhood. Well, it started back then in the 60s, and then with Barack Hussein Obama, it really became something of normal commonplace. It became something to foster. People don't like me because I'm black, because I'm gay, because I'm straight, because I'm trans, because I'm a woman, because I'm a Muslim. All this mess really became commonplace. And it stoked all those inequities and ills that have always been there. What's the Bible say? The poor will always be with you. Some sort of victim class will always be with you. Everyone from the dawn of time until the end of time can somehow, some way, shape, or form say, you're being mean to me because of my fill in the blank. And that immediately fosters division. It fosters hatred. And then if you look at it real close, it fosters self-hatred. Because for several generations now, we've been told to hate the white heterosexual Christian male specifically. Good night, nurse. They are persona non grata of all personas non gratas. So you see, they're the person everybody says you're supposed to hate. But here's the deal. If they have somehow risen to the top of the dung pile, well, what does that make everybody else? So if you believe the hype that there is a superior class, what in fact does that make you? A ding-a-ding-ding-ding. That'd be the inferior class. The class that just can't cut it. Just not quite man enough for it, huh? Doesn't have the genes to good old social Darwinism. Yeah, they don't have the genes for it, right, man? Pinky's out while you're drinking your tea. So if you believe one series of those lies, then you have to believe the other. If someone's better than you, that must make you less than them. And before you know it, the psychology of that, it really boils over into self-hatred. You see, you hate the other people, and then you begin to hate yourself because you're not measuring up, allegedly, to those other people. That's how it works, folks. It's like the adage that you've got to actually quit hating the person that did you wrong. If someone stole your bike in 3rd grade, it doesn't do you any good to sit around and hold a grudge and hate them in 12th grade. Because all that's doing, all that energy that you think you're putting on that bad person that stole your bike in 3rd grade, it's really just eating you up inside. It's causing you self-hatred. It's causing you imbalance and, dare I say, dis-ease. So, where is this hatred getting us? It's getting all those blancos thinking, oh my goodness, I'm the scourge of society, the worst thing in the world. And it's getting everyone else thinking, well, I must be just not good enough, John. I'm not suggesting any of this is true. I'm just telling you how this plays out psychologically. The hatred of others actually causes self-hatred in thyself. And then it fosters dis-ease. Because you have to wonder, why is everyone so sickly? Because it seems since the 1960s, everyone's gotten progressively sicker each year. And there's 1,000,001 factors. You could look at the chemtrails. True, es verdad, no? You can look at the food, the advent of the TV dinner in the late 50s, early 60s, the TV dinner. Because after all, second wave feminism said women are as equal as men. Jump out there in the workforce and get taxed so we can take the kiddies. We can take them sooner and groom them through our psychological warfare techniques, through our trauma-based mind control to be victims, professional victims, that is. Slaves of a higher order or lower order, subordinate even if you think of it that way. So yeah, chemtrails, check. The food, yes, total basura. What about the water? Well, in case you missed it, the water will kill you. Yeah, It's got all the stuff from the chemtrails in it, yes. It's got the fluoride in it, you guessed it. If you live in my neck of the woods, it's probably got Gen X in it. Gen X, that is. No, that's the Gen X, I'm sorry. Anyway, all that's to be said, it'll kill you. What else has been going down? Well, we've got stress of all forms, fashions, and factions. We've got people marched off to war from Vietnam all the way to whatever silly conflict, undeclared bankers' wars that we happen to be in to the present day. What else, John? Is that not enough for you? So psychologically, we hate ourselves, we hate each other, we're killing ourselves with all the aforementioned, and I didn't even get into the 5G towers, now did I? Those lovely LED lights. After all, we had to ban the incandescents so we could be killed with the LEDs. Don't forget the spiral fluorescents. They were good, right? You want some mercury? You're not getting enough in your vaccines? Try breaking one of those jokers in your frickin' den. You're going to have a hazmat team to get rid of the mess. More self-hatred. So you got to ask yourself, because there's 1,000,001 memes indicating just this. We went to war over a tea tax a few centuries back. We're getting taxed 6 ways from Sunday, 8 days a week here in the United States of America. We're getting all sorts of egregious violations of our constitutional rights. You see, once upon a time, you had to have a warrant. Now you got warrantless wiretaps. Once upon a time, you couldn't just be groped and or molested in public, but now you got the TSA doing it any way they want it, right? That's just the norm. Once upon a time, you had the armaments and artillery of war used in theaters of war. Now, that was brought in by Reagan. We get asset forfeiture, seizure. They fuzz can steal your stuff, and don't worry, they've got an MRAP, all the body armor they could put on, and all the adornments for their spooky rifles too. Yeah, all that is not of a peace officers. That's of a military police state. But we've put up with that too. So why? Because we've grown to hate ourselves as a people. I think there was really something about the 1960s, very much something about the Vietnam War that flipped the script on everyone. JFK getting blown away. MLK getting blown away. Malcolm X, anyone? RFK, anyone? We could just keep on going down the list, folks. The shooting in Ohio, don't even get me started. So we had all that. We had the race riots. We had the civil unrest. We had the protests. Don't worry, it's for peace, bro. Peace, man. We had the proliferation of drugs, the proliferation of the pill, which brought us the proliferation of sex for sport. We hate ourselves as a people and as a society. We could draw it down color lines and sexual lines and gender lines if you want to. But if you really want to cut to the white meat, we hate ourselves as a people. We must. Because we've allowed everything and then some to go on. What have we got? Over 60 million babies murdered since Roe versus Wade? Is that not an emblematic endorsement of self-hatred? We've got everything I just said is going on in front of everyone's face. Isn't that not an open endorsement of self-hatred? We've had stolen elections. We've had people shooting up stuff that anybody with just a modicum of IQ over room temperature can see that was nothing more than a death injection. We've got people endorsing children cutting off their genitalia and sterilizing themselves under the auspice of choice and being nice and kind and benevolent. We've got sexual predators and deviants visiting libraries and public schools, giving stories that are nothing more than pornography, instruction manuals on how to be a deviant in the society. Is that not self-hatred, folks? Is it not self-hatred? It sure as bleep seems like it to me. Or to quote the great John B. Wells, it'll certainly do until the self-hatred gets here. Because it seems to me that we must hate ourselves because we've allowed all this to go on. We've put up with it all. We've sacrificed our children to this beast. The global satanic death cult of pedophiles. Anyone, did you miss the mark on that one? All these supposed hearings and all these supposed file releases and all these, they're going to be indicted. Nothing has happened, folks. Nothing has happened of any actual substance. Again, is this not an endorsement of self-hatred? What you do to the least among you, you do to me. That's what the Christ said, right? Well, we've allowed it to go on to los niños, no? We've allowed them to be murdered with the food, air, water injections. We've allowed them to be kidnapped, raped, killed. And these people, those people, who are they, John? They all seem to be quite above the law. From the Anthony Weiner laptop to the Epstein client list, it seems that it's quite clear there's an untouchable class. But it doesn't resemble the Indian caste system. It's kind of the inverse. There's an untouchable elite class here in the West that just can't be touched or can't be bothered to be brought to justice of any sort at all. It's quite clear we hate ourselves because no one is even doing anything remotely like resisting it, like getting the pitchforks and I don't know how it played out in Frankenstein, but here's something else I'm going to run by before I get out of here this evening. A friend of mine, I've talked about this many times, and I might have mentioned it on the show, but I think if I did, it bears repeating. Because one thing that I think is quite self-evident, and it was brought to light, or it should have been, during the PSYOP 19, and it's definitely been brought to light by the extremely high numbers of people committing suicide, people committing suicide and people drugging themselves out, because we lead the world in all the worst categories. Most people on drugs, most people on the booze, most people killing themselves, most people doing all three and then some. Most deviant sexually, most deviant with children, most deviant with the dog, most deviant with anything. I mean, we are fouled up from the floor up, folks. I mean, if Sodom and Gomorrah look worse than this, I don't even want to fathom it. But I think PSYOP 19 brought something to light that a friend of mine and I discuss this quite often. I think something tripped in people's brains. The trauma-based mind control snapped in a lot of people, a vast majority to be specific. And people were put in the corner on that shock plate like those dogs in the learned helplessness. And I think a lot of people knew innately that something was really fouled up. They didn't see a way out of it. And a lot of people, knowingly, unknowingly, consciously, unconsciously, said, I'm going to take this thing because either we're going back to normal or I'm going to die. I think a lot of people looked at it just that way. I think a lot of people knew what they were getting into, so to speak. And a lot of people said to themselves, this is a way out. This is a way. In cultural anthropology, they would say indirect suicide. There's a lot of research on direct and indirect infanticide, but I believe this will be a version of indirect suicide. Sort of playing Russian roulette. Pull that trigger, See if the chamber's clear. You know, if it's not, oh well, so be it. If it is, checking out early checkout. And I think that's exactly what went on with PSYOP 19. I think a lot of people had a lot of free time on their hands during that forced wrangling of the people and hiding and hunkering down and sheltering in place and the 6 feet apart and the masquerade parties, the whole 9 yards. A lot of people had a little bit too much time to reflect. And I think they reflected back upon their lives and a lot of the ills that they had done. The bad stuff they did, the bad stuff they did to their kids, the stuff that they injected upon them. And it was a lot like, you see these people that commit suicide after they've killed someone. They'll kill somebody in a crime of passion, and then they'll look back and say, I got to get out of this. I'm too small for prison. I'm not going to jail. Oftentimes you see that crime of passion sort of thing took place. I don't think you see it anymore because our society's so flim-bagged up, but where someone will come home and find that spouse cheating, they'll murder that person and they'll off themselves. I think that's exactly what we saw going down with PSYOP 19. That's why we saw this proliferation of los inyecciones. We saw this proliferation of people willingly getting off the meat truck, going down the line, and just playing follow the leader into the bolt gun. Metaphorically, of course. I do believe that's exactly what we got going on. And I think we're seeing the continuation of that now. I think people have actually gone just bat crazy on so many levels because people have just straight given up. It transcends the red pill, the black pill, and the blue pill. I think people have given up, and where you see a lot of these incidences of death by cop, I think that's exactly what you're seeing now on an almost cultural level. Because people are just going, I don't have anything else to live for. I did what they told me during the PSYOP. I didn't die. And here I am. I'm going to act just as fool as I can in public, around police, around other people. And maybe somebody's just going to put me down like Old Yeller. I think culturally, that's what we're seeing in our society from just the sheer spiritual bankrupt nature of the people. They don't see the light of Christ at the end of the tunnel. They don't believe in the devil at the other end of the tunnel. They're just going, live for now, live for now. Don't tell me about tomorrow. I know that's an old punk song, but that's exactly what we're seeing. And that, I do believe, boys and girls, children of all ages, humans, those of you who still identify as humans, that's what we're going to see really ramp up here as we get into these god-awful hot months. Because the heat's going to drive the scum out onto the streets. And unlike in Taxi Driver, where he says one day a real rain will come down, wash all the scum off the streets. There's not going to be a real rain to come down and wash all the scum off the streets. What you're going to see is all the scum is going to come out onto the streets. And I think we've seen enough distance from the PSYOP. A lot of people are just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And until it does, they're just going completely aggro. Maybe I'll get taken out by the fuzz. Maybe I'll get taken out by this guy or girl at the mall. Maybe I'll get just, go out in a blaze of glory. A la Bon Jovi, you know what I mean? I think we're going to see a whole lot more of that, folks. Sad, but true. And it's because of the self-hatred that people in our society have for themselves and each other. There's no love anymore. There's no love between anything anymore, folks. And unfortunately, that's what we're going to see pop off here in a few. That's all we got time for this evening. You can't do everything, but you can do something. Please get out there, do your part, make a difference, and more than anything, be safe out there. I'll probably do a few more of these shows of this nature as we get into those atrociously hot months on deck. Be safe out there. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age.
Thank you for listening to the AnomicAge, a JohnAge project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to AnomicAge.com. That's AnomicAge.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to the AnomicAge.
Thank you.